Welcome back to the Game Dungeon, and today I'm going to talk about something I have been pretty vocal about since the announcement of this PlayStation 5 Pro happened about a week ago or so. And I'm going to discuss why I think the PlayStation 5 Pro is not only overpriced, number one, but also anti-consumer. The very nature of what it's offering is bad for us as consumers. Before I do so, I'm going to be devil's advocate a little bit, and let's discuss what the PS5 Pro actually offers. You're going to see me looking back and forth because I have some screens open here. So, PS5 Pro coming out November this year, just about a month and a half from now. What is it saying? It's touting that it's offering over the traditional PlayStation 5. So it's got this PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, also known as PSSR, which should, and this is directly from their website, so you're going to hear me quoting, super sharp clarity on your 4K TV using AI enhanced resolution for ultra high definition play with astonishing detail. Okay, so it will look better on your screen because it will use AI to enhance resolution. All right. Optimized console performance. Reach higher and more consistent frame rates for silky smooth gameplay with support for 60Hz and 120Hz displays. So that's to say that you will have less drops in frames, supporting for up to 60 frames per second, 60 Hz, up to 120 Hz, 120 frames per second. Okay, so reviewing, we have better looking visuals because of AI enhancements and more consistently non-delayed frames because it has better performance. Advanced ray tracing. So this can enhance your realism with ray traced reflections and shadows. Looks better than normal shadows. And that is the features. They're also showing games because you need to have games that actually work here, and then a picture of the console. Okay. So here's my issue. Actually, you know what? Before I get to my issues, let's talk about why somebody might want to purchase that. So let's try to be fair. I looked up an article, PlayStation 5 Pro. This article came up first. It's Rory Mellon on tomsguide.com. I have never heard of this website, but it does look very clean, and it looks somewhat professional. And I'll say pretty fairly professional. The normal amount of ads you may see on like an IGN and such. So this individual, Rory, says it is overpriced. They agree that it's overpriced. Okay, but they're still going to buy one. All right, what are the key points? Why would you still buy something despite it being overpriced? All right, let's see. It is, quote, playing the long game. That's the first header here. Playing the long game. It is an quote, extravagant, if I can talk, luxury purchase. A console is the very definition of a luxury purchase. I try to answer a simple question: how much will I use it? This person is apparently a console gamer and primarily a PS5 player. They use their launch PS5 pretty much every single day. Okay? And if I purchase this PS5 Pro in November, we assume PS6 won't be released before 2027. By the time I'm faced to upgrade again, I will have used the Pro for hundreds, likely thousands of hours. Okay, so the first reasoning is that they're going to use it. Okay, that's a good reason to buy something. You're actually going to use it, okay? Small but significant upgrades. Okay, they discussed what we discussed here already, what I said on the press page, of the PlayStation 5 page. One of the biggest goals, the Pro, is to eliminate the need between performance and fidelity. Performance being frames, keeping it a consistent frame rate, and fidelity, how well it looks, like on your screen. In terms of graphics, just the graphics by themselves. Okay? This person plays exclusively in performance mode. They value high frame rate above all else. Okay. So, they think that they won't have to choose between frames and performance. That's beneficial because frame rate is very important to them. It's niche, but that's okay. Here's the truth, so saith Rory. A niche product designed for the most engaged and financially fortunate PlayStation players. Okay. Now, I'm going to say why I disagree with that on the very foundational level, that even people who are PlayStation players, as opposed to just people who enjoy video games, PlayStation players, even for them, this is not only a bad purchase, but purchasing it is being anti-consumer. It is supporting companies screwing the consumer. Let's talk the price, because I don't know if I've said it yet. 700 bones. $700. Now, I'm not surprised by a price like that when it comes to PlayStation. People who are like me remember the Sony PlayStation 3 was redonkulously priced when it first came out. $600, which is probably equivalent to how much the PS5 costs, the Pro costs now with inflation, if not maybe less or more. Who knows? Who knows? People who actually know the math. The point is that the PS3 was overly expensive. I remember that very clearly when it first came out. That and directly influenced my decision on whether or not to get one of those. Although, to be honest, it was something I would get for Christmas because I was only 14, 15 years old. I didn't have any money back then. But making those decisions to ask your parents, hey, for Christmas, can I get a $600 console? Or this 360 that costs $400, $500, whatever. $300 probably. Quote me on that. Find out if I'm wrong or not. It was overpriced. The price dropped significantly. And when I eventually did get a PS3, I got it for dirt cheap. And I think it was near the end of the PS3's time, near to the PS4 being released. So I got it for a ridiculously cheap price. It was the PS3 Slim. Never played anything remotely close to that. So I didn't jump into that pool. I have never been a person who's going to pay a ridiculously exorbitant amount of money for a new console. The point is that I'm not surprised to see that from Sony. What does surprise me, however, is that this PS5 Pro, is an incomplete product. It doesn't have a disk drive. That is important for, number one, if you had a library of games on your PS5, and you are like me, who likes to buy things physical, and will do so because while you don't have exactly as much ownership as you used to have back in the day on older consoles, you still have some representation, generally speaking, that you own the game. And if it's a game that doesn't require an online connection, which most games, I believe, should not require an online connection, then you actually have that product. You can take that product to another buddy's house, pop it in their PS5 if you ever wanted to do so. Or if your PS5 busted, you can just put it in your new PS5. Boom. Take out your hard drive that you're going to have to buy because, like the old school days, you had to buy a memory card, except it's a lot more money nowadays. But you can still pop that out, pop it into a new PS5. You're good. Can't do that with the PS5 Pro by itself. It doesn't have a disk drive. So you're screwed on that end. Unless you want to fork over 70 extra bucks for the disk drive. So you can add a disk drive, but you have to pay more money on top of a very large cost already. So you're probably paying with tax close to $800 to get a PS5 Pro with a disk drive to play your games that you've already purchased. Assuming you purchased them on a disc. Now, why would I do that when, number one, there is already a product out there, PlayStation, that offers a substantially cheaper product, and when I say cheaper, I mean more inexpensive product, that is almost the same thing as the Pro. I am sorry. For every generation console, PS4, PS3, whenever they release or whenever they started doing Pros, which is really the last generation, I do not see a significant difference playing my buddy's Xbox 360 Xbox One standard versus the Xbox One Super, what are the bullshit that I got later down the line. No difference. The subtle difference you may get in frames or performance or graphics, I do not think is worth what you're putting into that price point. And underlying that aspect, there's a few problems with those pillars: performance and frame rates. Let's talk about performance and let's talk about both those combined for a moment. In order for those to actually be benefits to you, you need something that is to work. You need the whole setup. You don't just need the console. Number one, in order to even see things, you need the right TV. So let's say you have a normal 4K television. They're very relatively inexpensive nowadays. I mean, compared to what they used to be. So you have a 4K TV. Okay, you can now get the 4K enhanced AI visuals. Good. Okay. Up to 128 hertz performance. So, if you're using a TV for your PS5, which is what a lot of people do, you're never going to be able to capitalize on that because you're using an HDMI cord on a television. The refresh rates generally on televisions is not going to be 120 hertz. You're going to have a normal 60 hertz television, maybe something above that. I don't know. I don't think so. It's not something I think you generally find on televisions. That's a monitor, like what I'm looking at right now. If you're the kind of person who plays on a monitor, which I think there are people out there, okay, you have your monitor, now you have your PS5 Pro, you're ready, right? Well, no, not exactly, because not every game supports what the Pro offers. It's not just automatically upscaled. The graphics are not automatically updated. Your performance is not automatically updated. The game has to support it. Now, to be fair, there are some games that do support this. They have a whole list because they would have been fucked otherwise, because they didn't announce any new games when they announced the PS5, but they did announce about 20 games, I think. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, this is only 9 games. maybe I'm overestimating. I could be wrong, but if on the website it only shows 9 games. Some of these are older games, so we have Last of Us 1 and 2. So good games, to be clear, but one of those was kind of old at this point. It was a PS3 game, one of them. Demon's Souls, the remake. Until Dawn, which I think is being remade again. Remastered or remade? I'm not sure. I think it's a remaster. Then Ratchet and Clank, which is one of like the first PS5 big one games that came out. It's not a lot. So let's say you have something not on this list. You have your Pro. Well, okay, that's cool. You're playing the same game you're playing on a PS5 normal. And what's the point? It's just because they're releasing it and you're gonna buy it for. You're gonna blow all your money, give them all that extra cash for something that's not giving you value. Anti-consumer. I'm not saying that buying something expensive is bad for a consumer. I'm saying that what they're offering does not provide enough of an incentive for the price. It's very simple. And giving them money incentivizes them to keep doing this to you. Saying, fuck you, you're going to buy it, right? I'm going to make this $1,000. And you know what? Because it says PlayStation on it, you're going to pay for it. They're probably going to do that with those limited edition releases of the console, like the PS1 looking PS5 Pro. You're going to pay $1,000 for that sucker? Okay, it's limited edition, sure, but it's not worth that. It's not. And anybody who says it is, I'm sorry, they're ignorant. They're ignorant of what they actually are purchasing. Now, I have a PS5, Slim. I didn't buy a PS5 until they finally discounted the price. When they came out with the Slim last year, for Black Friday, I finally picked one up. $450 was about how much it cost. $450 is just above half the price of paying for a PS5 Pro with a disc drive, and probably if you want the stand too, that's probably about even half the price. Half the price for almost the exact same thing. Almost the exact same thing. Doesn't come in all one package, so you got to put it all together. That gives you the almost exact gaming experience. I don't know how they're getting away with it. And actually you do, because people who defend this, maybe you, are going to buy it. People like this Rory person who will buy it, just there's no real reason. They're just saying that I've read this now, read it for the first time here. They like it because it has maybe allows them to have better frame rate. Frame rates are super important. I'm sorry. Let me be clear. A nice smooth gameplay experience is really awesome. That's great. Unless you're playing at 25 frames a second, it doesn't fucking matter. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. You're not going to notice anything. The 30 to 60, so subtle difference. It looks kind of silky smooth. 60 plus, you're not seeing anything different. Barely. And even still, that's not a, in my opinion, an important thing. Maximizing 120 frames per second on your console. You're playing a console because you want to play the games that are on the console. That's you've invested in that environment because you want to play those games that are available in that environment, not because you want the best frame rates. If you want the best frame rates, you're going to get a high refresh monitor. You're going to probably buy a gaming PC, which is worth the price you pay. You pay for a gaming PC. It's going to cost you $1,000 probably minimally with monitor and the PC for something decent. But you don't just play games on it. You're doing what I'm doing. You're recording videos. You're on the internet. You're working. You're typing up essays. You're doing whatever you got to do that a computer does. It's not just a gaming machine. So that's why the cost is not anti-consumer. You're paying for exactly what you want. You're getting a lot out of your buck. The PS5 is too limited to be costing, I think, what the bottom barrel PC will cost. It's not. It's not worth it. Another reason why this person thought it was good because it's a luxury product and they'll use it a lot. Yeah, I mean, sure. I guess you buy a really expensive car. Well, you're maybe not using it a lot because you want to keep the miles down. Okay, so that's not a good example. I don't know. I don't think the use of it is really a truly, I don't know, compelling reason to buy something that's so anti-consumer. I'm going to use it a lot. I don't really care that it kind of tells Sony to say, fuck me, and I'll buy anything they want. At least I'm using it. You can use the PS5, the normal PS5, which you do already every day, apparently. Why do you need to upgrade? Well, you're going to have a PS5 2 now, a PS5 and a PS5 Pro, a PS5 Pro with no disc drive. You're going to buy a disc drive. You spend $500 for your PS5. You better spend $800 for your complete set. You spent almost $1,300 for the same fucking product. It's dumb. I'm sorry. It is a very short-sighted, foolish economic move, and it's not a beneficial thing for anybody. Whether you like video games, whether you like Sony PlayStation games best, it's not beneficial for anybody but Sony. And hopefully, unlikely though, because I don't really have confidence in people to be intelligent. I'm sorry, this is fair. People are kind of dumb. I don't like to be so negative, but it's true. People are going to buy this. If they didn't buy it, then yeah, maybe we tell Sony, hey, you can get away with a lot. You tried to, you and Microsoft try to get a lot. You're trying to get away with, actually, this is a good tangential point here. So, the disk drive, the missing of it, what is that telling us from Sony? That's telling us that Sony wants us to stop buying physical games. And why is that important? Well, for the reasons I stated before. Your ability to own the game. Sony can take away games off your PS5. They've done it before. They can remove games from your actual game console. Connect to the internet. They have a direct access to what you have on your library. There was some, I think, an article, post I saw where some early access game didn't work out. The game, I think, ended, so they just took it off the guy's PS5. Well, shit. He doesn't have it. There's nothing left. There's no data there. There's no disc. Can't re-download it. It's gone. You don't have the same maneuverability. Like, you can mess with your internalisms of your PC. It's a technical term. That you would have in a... you don't have that ability like you have in a PC on a console. Or if you do, it's a lot more difficult to do. They don't want you to own your games. They don't want you to have a physical ownership. They don't want you trading your games. They want you to buy online for the full price. Sometimes they'll have sales. Or better yet, they want you to subscribe to their overly priced online marketplace, their PS5 Plus and all that stuff. I used to have the original PS5 Plus. It was pretty cool. I mean, I downloaded the Ratchet and Clank game for free, the original new remake, not the Rift Apart. I think I got Final Fantasy VII remake for a bit, which was cool. I eventually bought the disc because I wanted to own it. And when they changed the price scheme to be this ridiculous thing, I stopped getting involved. I don't have online capability on my PlayStation anymore because of that. It's ridiculous. And they can shut down the game. The same thing with Game Pass. You download those games on your Xbox, you stop paying for Game Pass, you no longer have access to those games. It's just dead data. It's filling up your Xbox that you can't play. So buy your games. It's ownership of the games is really important. And the fact that they say no disc drive tells us that they don't want you to own it. They don't want to keep you to be able to pay for a game for a substantially cheaper price used. Can't do that with a digital game. You can't go and buy a used digital game. You can go to GameStop or mom and pop shop, buy a used game. I saw Elden Ring for $20 today at a CD exchange. Can't get that. If I wanted to buy it online on PS5, I paid $60, $70 maybe. It's anti-consumer because they don't want you as the consumer to have as much control over their environment as we currently do have right now. So if you buy without a disc drive, and young people, maybe it's young people, maybe it's old people, who freaking knows? I only know my own experience. A lot of people don't care. They just want to buy digital. I think it's foolish. It's foolish. And this is them taking advantage of you. Just like when Xbox wanted to make their console, the Xbox One, purely online. And people said, hey, whoa, no. You can't share games like you did before. You can't go You resell your games; they're linked to your console now. So that's no. They got shut down for that. Sony probably would have done the same thing if there hadn't been the same response. They would have been on top of that. So don't give them any points that they didn't do that. Stuff like this tells me they still are trying to control their ecosystem and take it out of our hands, which is anti-consumer. Gonna keep saying it. Overall, don't buy a PS5 Pro. It is, it's terse. It sounds very terse. It sounds very ignorant. It's stupid to do. It is literally a stupid action for you to do. Even the super wealthy, it's just stupid. It's like spending like $1 billion on a Ferrari you're never gonna drive. You know, that's a stupid millionaire purchase, right? They're stupid. It's not a good economic choice, even though they have ridiculous amounts of money. Most people don't have a ridiculous amount of money. And everybody should not buy a PS5 Pro. Buy a PS5. You want a PlayStation? Get a PlayStation. They're $450. It's still a little expensive, but it's much better. That's fair. That's what you'd expect from a console, right? That's what you expect. Get a Switch, even. A Switch, you're not going to pay remotely anything like that. You get a Switch OLED for like $250. Ridiculous. Game library is magnificent on the Switch. The PS5 have not been impressed by the PS5 at all. I have one. I am sad to say I've used it for maybe 3 hours. It sucks. I'm looking for games. I am honestly desperately looking for games to play on that thing. Nothing is that interesting to me. I think the Sony buying all these publishers and making them that is kind of like a AAA feeling that doesn't feel very fun. You don't get, there's some games where you don't need AAA, and they're fun. Side argument, not really important. PS5 Pro, don't buy it. Overpriced, $800 for the complete package. PS5 normal, $450. Double the price. The increases that it provides, the bonuses are only usable if you have the environment for it. A television, a monitor, really, and games that support it, which there are not a lot of. You have a very limited library right now that supports the PS5 Pro. Wait for these things to go down in price. Don't buy it just because it's the fresh new thing. It's going to significantly drop in price. You're probably in like 3 years going to be able to buy a PS5 Pro Plus for about $400. You're probably going to be able to buy one in a year or so. If someone getting rid of theirs because they realize there ain't no reason to have such a damn expensive thing. That guy who bought it for $800 is going to lose all their money buying it from some cat who's going to pay them $400 for it. Maybe $300 probably. Don't buy things just because it's new, especially when it's anti-consumer. It's not just a bad price. It is a fuck you price. It is you're an idiot. We know you guys are idiots. Here's something that is not a complete product. You're going to buy it just because it has Sony on it. Fuck you is what they're trying to say. Sorry about all that. It is true. That's what they're telling you. Don't buy a PS5 Pro. Buy a PS5. I don't care about that. Not a lot of games in my opinion. Not the greatest console generation. Xbox Series X. PS5. Not too great. PS4. Yeah. Excellent. Xbox One. Still kind of... but don't buy a PS5 Pro. Tell Sony no. No PS5 Pro. Alright. That's my ramble. That's my rant. It needs to be said. Not really, but I felt like it needed to be said. If you buy one, I'm sorry. In my brain, you are, well, fill in the blank based on everything I've said here. If you don't buy one, and it's because of these reasons, give the big middle finger to Sony saying, you can't do this to us. We're better than that. We won't buy dumb things just because you put Sony PlayStation on it. Okay. That's been the Game Dungeon rant for today. If I do get a PS5 Pro, I will tell you this. This is the only conditions I will buy a PS5 Pro. I pay only about 300 to 400 bucks for it. It already has a disc drive in it, and there is at a point in history where many games in its library, physical games I can actually buy, are able to capitalize on what it's providing. And even then, I probably won't even be able to tell the difference because it doesn't fucking matter to me having increased graphical fidelity and frame rates. I don't fucking care. I played Final Fantasy Crisis, or the remake, the one with I forget. It's not the Rebirth. It's the Crisis game from PSP remade. That's the only game I have on PS5 right now. That's a remake of a fucking PSP game. I'm playing on a ridiculously the best level of console to date. That's what I play. So what does that tell you? Frame rates are cool, but they're not that important to me. They shouldn't be important to you either. Okay, all right. I'm going off topic. That's the only reason I'd buy one. Don't buy one unless you get it for a ridiculously good deal. And even then, don't buy it from Sony. Buy it from a third party. This has been the Game Dungeon. I'm out.